Yo! How's it digging? So, I was just wondering, have you ever thought what it would be like to have a Wi-Fi battle with a dead man? Just a random thought that came to my head, but anyways, on a completely unrelated note, I got a match here against Rick, or Dangerous36M, a guy who certainly, sure as hell, isn't dead. But this is a match that we had about 4 months ago, back when Black and White 2 were just released in Japan. This was, in fact, like one of the first Wi-Fi battles that I had on Black and White 2. And at the time, Rick was like, when are you planning to upload this? And I was like, tomorrow? Question mark? Is that okay? And then Rick was like, oh, and then I was like, okay, if you're planning to make a comeback, sometime in the near future, I guess I can hold on to this battle. But up to this date, he hasn't yet, at least, made his comeback. And I was just looking at my battles, what should I post for today? It was battle number 36, so I was like, let's make this against Rick. But this was really interesting match, as you were able to see from the team preview. We are both using rain teams, and there's lots of mind games going on in this match, and this was also a pretty long match, 56 turns long. But anyways, I decided to lead with my Tornadus, because it looked like it's gonna pair up well against anything on his team, and in the early game I might be able to heat wave even the Jirachi, but it turns out even better, he leads with the Celebi, so I'm just gonna be able to go for the U-turn. He doesn't want to stay in for that, so I'm gonna be getting the switch initiative right off the bat, and then I'm just gonna go into my Gliscor to activate the Toxic Orb and also force him out, because he probably doesn't want to stay in against me. But what I decided to do is pull a double switch, go back into my Tornadus, because I was kind of thinking he may want to go back into his Celebi, because, Celebi usually carries, well, sometimes they carry HPIs, but it can definitely wall Gliscor, because it doesn't take much from the Ice Fang either. But he goes into his Politoed, so there's a chance that he's gonna be Choice Scarf, and then he could just ruin my day with the Hydro Pump, outspeed me and kill me off. So I'm gonna go into my own Politoed, which is actually a specially defensive Politoed, and he does go for the Hydro Pump, so I'm... At the time, I was just thinking, I had the mindset that he is most likely Choice Scarf. But anyways, just gonna play it safe here and go for the Scald, maybe get a burn on something, and I actually do, but it's the Celebi, so it doesn't even matter too much, because he obviously has the natural cure ability, which means that he's gonna be able to get rid of the burn whenever he switches out. Obvious stuff is obvious. But anyways, I think I was trying to check here whether he has like T-Wave or not, because I know that Rick likes to run some weird sets from time to time. So I just decided to play it safe, go into my Gliscor first, check it, and before going directly into Tornadus. But it turns out he just goes for the U-turn, and he goes into My Little Pony. And at this point I was fearing if he's one of those sub-calm mindsets, so what I decided to do is go into my own Jirachi. But it turns out he goes for the Hydro Bump, and he misses. And this was, well, can't lie, it definitely mattered, especially since I didn't know what kind of set he was running, but, if you don't want to miss, run Water Gun or something. But anyways, we both pull a double switch. I go into my Breloom, and he goes into his, Jirachi, and I'm just gonna go for the Spore, because, I saw the leftovers. I'm pretty sure he's running one of those specially defensive sets, so I do run speed on this Breloom, so I know I can outspeed and just put him to sleep, and then just, go from there. And now I decided to pull a switch into my Fortress, as he also switches, and he goes into his freaking Tornadus. And here I made a stupid move, because I definitely should have just gone for the Stealth Rocks while I had the chance. But I decided, for whatever reason, just go for the Gyro Ball, trying to hit the Tornadus, which first wouldn't even have KO'd, and second, he had obviously the Regenerator. So that was overall a bad move, especially since he goes into his My Little Pony, and because he had the Life Orb, he's actually able to break my Sturdy even off the lefty, so I have to go in my Politoed, and at this point it is confirmed that he's running a Choice Specs My Little Pony Keldon. Holy crap, that looks like it's potentially a 2-hit KO with the Hydro Pump, so I didn't want to take my chances, and I just decided to go for the safe protect so that I could get enough leftovers to be sure that I could leave the next hit and then at least go for Scald or something. But at this point, it is apparent that the My Little Pony is going to be probably the biggest problem to my team, and I need to really watch out for it. But anyways, now in comes the Celebi, and I'm pretty sure I can go back in my Fortress. He has only shown like Giga Drain and the U-turn at this point. And well, first off, I was predicting the grass type move, so that's why I went into Fortress in the first place, and I'm pretty sure that he doesn't have, you know, HP Fire, and it's in the rain anyway, so he wouldn't even consider running that. So figured I could go now into my Fortress and make up for my mistake and set up those Stealth Rocks now, as he's just going to U-turn out. But luckily, Celebi's U-turn is so weak that I am able to restore my health back to full, meaning that I do have my sturdy. So as this My Little Pony comes in, I can at least take one hit and then Volt Switch out and at least get a bit of damage and then save this Fortress for a death fodder. And most likely I will indeed need to sack this Fortress later on to this My Little Pony, because it's basically destroying everything on my team. I can't go into Politoed anymore because it's definitely two hit KO'd at this point, but since I do know his specs, Tornadus can outspeed him, and I can just fire off a Hurricane, and what he decides to do is go into his Politoed, because he knows that he can at least take one hit, because now the nice thing is that I have put his Jirachi to sleep, so I can just smack him with a Hurricane and then U-turn off, get a lot of damage, and then go into Gliscor, or whatever, if he decides to go into his sleeping Jirachi, that is. But, whatever, I'm just gonna switch directly into my Politoed, and he misses both of his Hydro Pumps, but judging by the earlier damage, I definitely could have taken them, especially since I could have just used Protect. But you will see later on that those Hydro Pump misses don't really matter on this Politoed. But anyways, now in comes the Celebi again, and I guess I was still kind of paranoid about him possibly having T-Wave or something, so I decided to go in my Gliscor first. Turns out he goes for the Giga Drain, and he does score a crit, which, to be honest, doesn't really matter, so I'm not even going to go into that. But, anyways, since he did crit me, it does matter to a point where I'm not really comfortable staying in here, so what I decided to do is pull a double switch again to my Tornadus, but he's just gonna go for the U-turn, and then he's gonna go into his own Tornadus, and I'm like, Rick, what are you doing? Are you willing to risk the speed side this early in the match? I'm not, so I'm gonna get out of here and just go into my Jirachi. As he predicts me to be scared of the speed tie, and he's gonna go for the U-turns. The mind games! They were too much during the time. I can't handle them. But yeah, he's gonna go for the U-turn on this really risky situation where he could have just lost his Tornadus, but he takes the risk. It pays off. He's gonna be able to trap me with the Duck Trio. But the good thing is that since he's most likely running that Focus Sash Dougie, he doesn't pack the punch, and I can just go for the Water Pulse because I'm running a Sub Calm Mind Rachi, so it actually turns out okay. I still have Jirachi at pretty good amount of health, especially off the lefties, and I can potentially even take one hit from the Tornadus later on if it does come down to that. But anyways, now in comes the My Little Pony again, and this is the point where I do definitely need to sack my Fortress, because there's nothing on my team that can take Specs Hydro Pump in the rain. So just gonna sack it. He does just play it safe, goes for the Secret Sword, but there was no reason for me to overpredict, because the consequences could have been horrible. But whatever, this allows me to go safely into my Tornadus and just fire off a Hurricane. And now in comes the Jirachi, but since it is sleeping, I wasn't really worried, and I can actually do a pretty nice chunk. It does about 25%. The Hurricane, and then I can just, on the following turn, I can just U-turn off and then go into my Gliscor, and he's gonna be forced to sleep at least one turn because of the 5th gen sleep mechanics, meaning that I can get a safe switch into my Gliscor, and he's gonna be forced to switch out because, you know, he still probably doesn't want to take an Earthquake, and I'm pretty sure, and I know that Rick knows that, so what I'm going to do is just go for the Substitute on the following turn, as he does switch into his Tornadus, as I figured he would. So now I have a free chance to go for the Toxic on this Tornadus, which is definitely helpful because I did get the Stealth Rocks up and the Life Orb and then the Toxic, so there's going to be a lot of residual damage, although he's going to be able to compensate somewhat, but with the Regenerator, but at least I can, you know, pretty much nullify it thanks to so much residual damage everywhere. Toxic, Life Orb, Stealth Rocks, yeah, there you have it. But anyways, now just gonna go for the Protect to pretty much for the obvious reasons, to get more poison heal damage and get more damage on him and yada yada yada. But now I don't want to stay in, and again, Rick knows that, so he's gonna make a good play and go for that U-turn. Oh man, too many U-turns in this match. Too many, I tell you! But yeah, he's gonna make the good play and just get the switch initiative with the U-turn, but he actually doesn't go into My Little Pony. Instead, he goes into his own Jirachi, just, I guess, trying to wake up, and I saw this as a window of opportunity to set up. So what I'm going to do is go for the Calm Mind on the first turn, as he's forced to sleep at least at one turn. And then after this turn, I'm going to have enough leftovers recovery to a point where I can set up a substitute, meaning that he can't do anything to me. He can't even body slam to try and paralyze me. And that is going to give me potentially a sweep here with Jirachi, or at least so I thought, because as you can see from the length of the match, it's still going to go for a long time, so something is going to be happening, but what in the world could it be? Because this is definitely looking like a Jirachi sweep at this point. I got +2 with the Calm Minds now, and this time he does wake up, and he's just gonna go for the U-turn. I guess that's what he just wanted. Just wake up his Jirachi and then just go into something else. And he's actually gonna go into his Celebi, and I was like, well, he does wall my set, but you know, what is he going to do in return? Like, he can't break my sub with a Giga Drain. He can't break my sub with a U-turn because it's so weak. So what I'm just going to do is start spamming some Thunders, and then hopefully go for the Water Pulse, maybe get some Parafusion going on, and I actually get the Para Hex and the full Para on the first turn. So I was like, yes, this is going to be a cakewalk. There's nothing he can do to me. Absolutely nothing. Although this is gonna take a little while, but still, you know, there's nothing he can do in return. So, anyways, just gonna go for the Water Pulse. Hopefully get the Parafusion. Don't get it, but he gets fully paralyzed again. So I was like, well, sorry for the hacks, but that is what Jirachi is here to do, and it's not like you can do anything in return. But anyways, gonna go for the Water Pulse again, and this time I scored the Confusion hacks, and I was like, yes, everything is going according to my evil plan, except he goes for the Parry Song, and I'm like, why? Why do you have Parry Song on your Celebi? And that, like, completely ruined everything, and I was like, why? You never see freaking Parry Song on Celebi, and now it's going to ruin my beautiful sweep here. But since I do at least have 3 turns here, I'm just gonna take them and spam some Thunders while I still can. And he's gonna go into his own Jirachi again, which is the especially defensive kind. And the Thunder actually does a really nice chunk, so I decided just to go for another one. In hindsight now, I probably should have just gone for the Water Pulse, trying to get the Parafusion on this Jirachi so that he would not have been able to get off the wish, but he does get the wish off, and I just barely missed the KO with the Thunder. And on the following turn, I think the Parry Song is going. Yeah, it's the press count is now at 1, so I'm forced to switch out. I still want to keep my Jirachi alive because it may be really useful, and it can still take 1 hit from the Tornadus. So I'm just gonna switch out, go into my Gliscor, because I still know that I at least wall him. It's not really a problem that the Jirachi is alive, as long as I still have my Gliscor here. So yeah, I take a Body Slam from him like nothing, and then I'm just gonna go for the, I think I go for the sub, because there's nothing he can do. And, you know, obvious, which is obvious, but he's gonna go into his Celebi again. And what I decided to do, even though, you know, never waste a good sub, but this is kind of the bad kind of sub, and I can definitely take advantage of that since I now learned that he has Parry Song. I'm pretty sure he's gonna use it while I'm behind the sub, so he can force me to switch out. So what I can do is go into my Tornadus and be in a really good situation, because now I can go for the U-turn or then just fire off a Hurricane, boosted by the Life Orb, which is what I think I ended up doing here. Because the situation is, I'm not really worried about this Jirachi too much. Every time it comes in, I can just go into my Gliscor, but every time Gliscor comes in, he's gonna be forced to switch out, and he doesn't want to stay in for that. So this way, I can first fire off a Hurricane, then go for the U-turn, and then after that, basically he's in a range where next time he comes in, he won't be able to take the combination of Hurricane and a U-turn. So now I get some really solid damage, and on top of that, I actually do get the 30% confusion chance, which does tend to happen quite often. You know, it's the same thing with Scott, but I do get the confusion hack, so there's that too. Which does kind of help, to be honest, because now he's in the parafusion state, so the chances of him hitting through are pretty low. But whatever, going to my Gliscor now, because, you know, Gliscor was the freaking Jirachi again. And I'm just gonna go for the substitute, as he actually stays in, and he goes for the U-turn, as opposed to just hard switching out, which was kind of risky, but I don't know. I don't know what he was planning at the time, but he does it, and he's gonna go back into his Celebi, and this is a kind of a stalemate situation, and now there's going to be basically a lot of stall going on between Celebi and Gliscor and my Tornadus and his Jirachi and all that jazz. But what I decided to do here is just go for the Toxic, and as you can see here, I am slower than the Celebi, but on the next turn I do believe, wait for it, yes, as I go for the EQ, because there's nothing better I can do, I am faster. So that means we have a speed tie between our Gliscor and Celebi, which is actually really interesting, because I have some speed EVs on this Gliscor. That's what standard Gliscor usually has. Some speed, then the rest in HP and defense. But he's gonna do some regenerator shenanigans, and basically really interesting that, you know, since I tried to Toxic the Celebi, he's gonna get rid of the Toxic with the Natural Cure, and when I try to get some damage on the Tornadus, he's just gonna be switching out and getting the Regenerator going on, although he's Toxic, but the Toxic doesn't get a chance to rack up. And here, what he wants to do is just keep U-turning until the point my substitute is going to break. And then he hopefully will get a save switch into his Tornadus or My Little Pony to fire off a Hurricane or Hydro Pump respectively. But that is what's basically going on here. And here, I was really hoping that I would lose the speed tie, but I don't. I win the speed tie. I'm faster. So he gets to go off me going for the substitute, meaning that I won't be able to get a free sub before he goes into his My Little Pony. So the hacks kind of just, again, balances out, funnily enough. And now I have to sack something again, and I decided that's gonna be my Politoed. On top of that, he ends up getting a crit, but doesn't matter because I was willing to sack it. I probably should have just gone for the Protect, just to stall him out more if it came down to a Power Punch stall with the Hydro Pumps, but yeah, that's hindsight for ya. But anyways, this again allows me to go into my Tornadus, and this time, even his Jirachi won't be able to take the combination of U-turn, or Hurricane and U-turn rather. So I'm just gonna go for it, and now he actually goes into his Jirachi, and I'm pretty sure, judging by the earlier damage, he's around that amount of health where I should be able to take him out, and I do. So down goes the Jirachi, no min damage or anything, I just straight take him out. Luckily enough, I guess there could have been some damage variation, but didn't happen, so take him out. But again, in comes his Tornadus, and I don't want to risk the speed side. And he actually ends up going for the U-turn yet again, predicting me to be scared cat again and fearing the speed side. So what's gonna happen is he's gonna go into his My Little Pony. He does end up missing the Hydro Pump yet again, but at this point it doesn't matter, because basically all that I needed was a save switch into my Tornadus, and either one of his pokes would have then died, being the My Little Pony and the Tornadus, and then I still had Gliscor, and also I had Breloom, which could have definitely taken out these two, or one of them, because I would have killed the other one with my own Tornadus, and then there's also the chance that I would have had a speed tie with this Tornadus, but yeah, in that case, it didn't really matter what happened at the end, but he's not going to be able to take out my freaking Jirachi, so Jirachi was able to pull off through at the end, taking the superpower, killing him off with the Water Pulse at the end, and that was the game! And so, thank you for watching, I really hope you guys enjoyed, and wow, that was like almost 20 minutes long. I hope the narration was okay, because I felt like I lost my train of thought at least a couple times. Too much U-turning, and too much mind games, and too much shenanigans. But that was indeed a match with Rick, the dead man. There was some shenanigans with hacks there, but you know, you know what they say about hacks. You can't control it. Just embrace it and rage at it when there's hacks against you. But that's what makes the game so interesting, because you can't always control what's going to happen. But yeah, there was definitely a lot of shenanigans within those 56 turns. But that was the match for today. And I will leave a link in the description for Rick's channel, so you can spam him to come back, because Rick is definitely a really entertaining guy, and we all miss him so much, and hopefully he will come back someday. But anyways, at this point, I really have nothing to add, nothing to say at this point. I'm just rambling kind of horribly. This is already 20 minutes, so I don't think I need to drag this any longer. So again, really hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like rating if you did. Go spam Rick's channel, and that will be all for today. So until next time, this is TheFlamingSpade signing out. Peace.